Okay, welcome to the Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard for the second time, beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Yes, we're up to 473, starting a new parsha. Parashat Tisa, and like I mentioned a few times, we are also starting our fourth year. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was around now. So we're starting our fourth year for the second round, and starting our 10th year. I'm sorry, starting our 10th year since we started the class. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Number one, Hashem says Moshe should count the people in the army, that is, males from the ages of 20 to 60. They should be counted by an item that they give, because if the count would be made on the people, there could be a plague. Is that clear to everybody? We don't count people 1, 2, 3, 4. We do that today too. We count an item. In fact, David forgot this, and he counted the people, and he got in big trouble for it. A lot of people died. I don't remember the details of the story. The Torah uses the word naso, lift, for count, lift the head. It is a versatile word. That means lift and carry, but is also used for count and atone, maybe some other things too. Literally, the Torah says, when you lift the heads of Bnei Yisrael. This chapter will find allusions to Kabbalah in many of the terms of this passage. Okay? So we got 473. Alan, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, begin. I should mention regards from our what's it called? Our learning mate from Gershon. He's in Israel. He's intended to go for a month. He's extending his stay. So he says the class is like 3 a.m. there. But they have a new grandson, and I guess they're enjoying it there. So that's the good news.
Good.
Okay. Alan, go ahead.
The uplifting census. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, when you count, lift the heads of the children of Israel according to their military assignments, each man will give an atonement for his soul to Hashem when you tally them. Thus there shall not be a plague among them when you tally them. Excuse me. This is what they will give all those who pass by the tally, a half shekel of the sanctuary shekel. This shekel is 20 gera. They will give a half of this shekel as a donation to Hashem. All those who pass by the tally from the age of 20 and older will give this donation of Hashem. The wealthy will not give more, and the poor will not give less than half of this shekel when giving the donation of Hashem to atone for their souls.
Okay, thank you. Now, number 2. When the Torah says lift the head, it means the lights of Keser need to revert upwards back to Keser. So Keser means the crown, and that is loosely associated with the skull, I guess with the skull, or with the crown that sits on top of the head. So lift the head means that the lights of Keser that went down from Keser need to revert upwards back to Keser. This is associated with the hair on the back of the head. Hair is associated with the lights of Keser because although they are part of the body, they are distinct from the body in that there is no pain when they are cut. As part of the body, it grows from the body, from the life force of the body, but yet it's something that's like that's apart from the body, I guess, and that in a way of Kesser, which is a crown that's supposed to sit on top of the head. Okay, I guess go ahead, Alan.
This idiom of lifting the head refers to the returning ascent of the lights of Kesser, this being the illusion of the hair on the back of the head.
Thank you. 3, as divine energy proceeds through creation, it encounters what appears as entities apart from godliness. The farther you go, the more godliness is hidden, and things appear to be separate from godliness. Chesed and the spheres affiliated with it have opportunity to be more benevolent because there is someone to do chesed with. Gvura and the spheres affiliated with it have opportunity to act with greater severity because there's somebody else there to deal with. In this case, we speak of Netzach and Hod of Kesser. Usually we speak about them of Atzilus. Usually when we speak about the spheres, most of the time, and especially generically, we're talking about Atzilus. In this case, we're speaking how the way they exist within Kesser, and which for today's lesson are considered affiliated with Gevura. Usually we have Netzach on the right and Chesed, Hod on the left and Gevura, and then Yesod in the middle. This is, for today, we're considered Netzach and Hod are both affiliated with Gevura, with strength, with severities. We prefer that they not descend as Gevura. So Hashem says, lift the head, meaning the lights of Netzach and Hod should revert to Kesser, called Or Choser, light that reverts, as opposed to Or Yashar, direct lights. We're going to call them home. Okay, Ellen, go ahead. Bottom of 473.
For Kesser comprises 10 sub-sephiros, and the Netzach and Hod within it are states of judgment. Kesser is anatomically identified with the skull, although Netzach, being on the right axis of the Sephira tree, is principally associated with Chesed. Its quality of victory requires an element of Gevura as well.
Interesting. Okay. Now, by ascending back to Kesser, the judgments become perfumed. The Hebrew word is they become. There's a nice smell that's added to it. They become scented, perfumed, or sweet. What we usually refer to as being sweetened. Go ahead, Alan. These sub-sephiros.
These sub-sephiros return and ascend as reflected light, or choser. This is because the more all the other attributes extend below and become manifest, the more merciful they become. But the more the states of judgment extend below and become manifest, the stronger the element of judgment becomes. The lower a state of chesed extends, the more merciful it must become. Since the lower the level, the less divine consciousness it possesses, and therefore the more it requires mercy. In contrast, the lower a state of judgment extends, the more judgment it becomes. Since the lower the level, the less divine consciousness it evinces, and the more there is to find fault with.
Continue.
They therefore have to ascend back so that the element of judgment can be scented. The attributes of Netzach and Hod have to be re-infused with the original idea of Kesser, or will, in order to remain true to its vision and not get carried away in their enthusiasm to transmit it. This re-infusion is called scenting.
Okay. Like I said, we usually refer to that as sweetened. The judgments become sweetened. Now, There was an earlier creation, or an earlier attempt at creation, from Olam HaTohu, which we usually translate as a world of chaos or nothingness or nebulousness. Each of the Sefirot was totally independent of the other Sefirot, and therefore this world did not endure. It is said to have caused Shviras HaKelim, shattered containers. In contemporary terms, it crashed and burned. The lights of the world of chaos are symbolized by the 8 kings of Edom, recorded at the end of Parshas Vayishlach, where it says he ruled and he died. By contrast, the light that enters Keser is a light that adapts to the level it is at, and it does not overwhelm the system. So the light adapts, it changes. It's called orpnimi. The word orpnimi means a light that enters inwards. But I translate it, I explain it as an adaptive light. It adapts to wherever it is. So the light that enters Keser is a light that adapts to level, and it does not overwhelm the system. When the light of Keser rises back to Keser and gets sweetened, it is able to avoid the destruction that was caused by the lights of the Olam HaTohu, of the world of chaos. Okay, Alan, go ahead.
Okay. Now hairs are like hairs.
No, above it.
All of this applies to the inner light, or panimi, that enters Keser, but encompassing light, or makif, alluded to by the kings of Tohu who died, issued before these states of judgment. Because they were not scented, they died. But these which were scented endured. This is why they must ascend to be scented. The lights of Tohu, alluded to by the kings of Edom who died, were also states of judgment. Each sephira of Tohu was purely itself and did not contain within it any element of the other sephiras. Therefore, each one related to the others judgmentally, not allowing any room for the perspectives expressed by them. This is why the world of Tohu was unstable and collapsed. In order to avoid the same fate, the sephiras of Tikkun must be scented.
Okay, thank you. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that a lot of phrases and terms in this passage will be connected to Kabbalistic ideas. So, we said before that the lights of Keser are like hair on the head. Hair is shaped like a tube through which light travels and is shaped like the letter Vav. So this will be represented by the letter Vav. Okay, Alan, go ahead.
Now, hairs are like pipelines through which light travels and issues, and their shape is like the letter Vav. The letter Vav is essentially a straight line similar to a hair.
Well, depends whose hair.
Yeah.
Okay. 7. Yaakov, also called Yisrael, personified Ze'er Anpin in general. Okay, this is guys, you can have this as a general rule. Yaakov personifies Ze'er Anpin. Tiferes, and Tiferes in particular. Tiferes is considered the center of gravity for Ze'er Anpin. So Yaakov corresponds to Tiferes. Netzach and Hod, that we said are the two spheres that are both of judgment. They emit from Tiferes, and therefore they're called B'nai Yisrael, the children of Yisrael. Get it? Tiferes is Yisrael. So Netzach and Hod are called the children of Yisrael, or the children of Tiferes. There is a membrane in the skull that surrounds the brain that corresponds to Tiferes. In terms of Kabbalah, the membrane is considered the source of the hair. Within Keser, the membrane is Tiferes, and the hair is Netzach and Hod. The letter Vav is compared to Tiferes. The third letter of Hashem's name, the letter Vav, corresponds, right, Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav. So the Vav of Hashem's name corresponds to Ze'er Anpin, and Tiferes is the center of gravity of Ze'er Anpin. The hair is shaped like the letter Vav. So we've got a circle here with a bunch of different connections. Don't ask me to repeat it, but this is why I wrote it up. I don't think I can repeat that. So Yaakov corresponds to Tiferes. The letter Vav is also corresponds to Tiferes, Ze'er Anpin. And the letter Vav is like, and then Yaakov is, or Tiferes is also the membrane, I think between the skull and the brain, we said. And the Vav is also like this Tiferes that's coming out from this membrane. Sounds good. Jim, let's go ahead, read inside 475.
Netzach and Hod are Keser, of Keser, are therefore called children of Israel. For inside the head there's a membrane, which is like a firmament, which in turn corresponds to Tiferet, which in turn is indicated by the Vav of the name Chavaya. There's a membrane inside the skull, of course, that's surrounding the brain. In Kabbalah, this membrane is a manifestation of Tiferet of Keser. Tiferet is the border between the primary emotions, Chesed and Gevurah, and the secondary emotions, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. It is therefore similar to the firmament which divides between the upper water, atmospheric moisture, and lower water, oceans and seas. Just as Netzach and Hod issue from Tiferet, hair is considered to be rooted in the membrane between the brain and the inner surface of the skull. The fact that Tiferes is indicated by the Vav of the name Chavaya, Netzach, and Hod are indicated by head hairs, which are shaped like the letter Vav, indicates that they are thematically linked.
Okay, good. I guess that's why they call it a membrane.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, just as hair covers the back of the neck and the neck is hidden from view, Netzach and Hod revert back to Keser to prevent Klipa. And what he gives a new idea here, that is also to prevent Klipa from intercepting the divine energy. So the fact that we said before, Netzach and Hod revert back to Keser, is the idea of the hair covering the back of the neck and hides it from view. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, so we've got a few of these to read. They ascend out of the head and split through this firmament, which corresponds to the letter Vav of the name Chavaya, and thus acquire its properties and assume the shape of the letter Vav.
Thank
Therefore,
you.
I think we are still need two more to go.
Let me do another one here. Okay, go ahead.
They are therefore called children of Israel, since they issue from him. Patriarch Jacob, also known as Israel, associated with the Sephirah Tiferet, since Netzach and Hod are derived from Tiferet, they are the children of Israel. Now, the purpose of these hairs is to cover the neck, so the forces of evil cannot gaze at it. By covering the neck, the hair hides it from the view of the forces of evil, which are always positioned behind the parts of. If they do not see the neck, they cannot derive sustenance from it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, in the passage that we started with, it has, when you lift the heads of B'nai Yisrael. We just said B'nai Yisrael refers to Netzach and Hod. So when the Torah says, when you lift the heads of B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, that means Netzach and Hod of Keser need to go back to Kesser to get sweetened.
Mhm. This is the mystical meaning of the phrase, when you lift up the head of the children of Israel, referring how the light that issues from the hair reascends to be scented.
Okay, thank you.
The
Pause there. I think the next thing explains the next part. Is an
Okay.
introduction to the next section. The Torah then says each person should give a half shekel. The
Right.
word shekel refers to a coin. We all know that, but it comes from the word mishkal, that means to weigh or a scale. The Arizal will find special significance in this word. I guess everybody knows that really, or ideally and really, that money should be actually worth. So let's say, for example, if we use silver as, we should be using silver as money, and a dime will be twice the weight of a nickel, and a quarter will be 2.5 times the weight of a dime, and a dollar will be 10 times the weight of 10 times as much silver as a dime. This is ideally, so the coins are exactly what they weigh. Their worth and their value is based on their weight and their actual intrinsic value. If there was no coin on it, if it was just a lump of silver, it would be worth the same thing, would worth the same amount. By the way, anyone know how much? So one of the things that, for example, in the Constitution, it says to Congress is supposed to establish the values. I don't remember the exact terminology. They should establish the values of the dollar, determine. Anyone know what they did? To coin, I think it was to coin money. They sent out, they took surveys from a bunch of merchants, from a bunch of coins, and they determined the amount of silver in $1 is 371.25 grains of silver. What's a grain of silver? I'm not sure. I'm not clear on that. Not sure, but I guess it's a uniform. I guess it's a uniform amount. So 371.25 grains of silver in $1. So at that time, everything was based on weight. Okay. So that's why the word shekel really means weight. And then it's used also as the unit of currency in the Torah. Okay, 476. Jim, continue.
I'll just finish this. The process of lifting the head is accomplished by giving a half shekel. The image of half shekel implies weighing 2 half shekels on a scale to make sure they are equal. Indeed, the word shekel means weight. The notion
Okay,
of
my turn. Thank you. 11. As we've seen many times, Hashem's name Havaya can be expanded to 72 if the 2 letters Hey are spelled with Yuds. And that's expanded, Hey is expanded to Hey Yud. The name of 72 in expanded spelling has 4 Yuds. We had this I think 2 weeks ago also. Each Yud is 10. If each unit is divided into 10, the value of Yud becomes 100. 4 Yuds equals 400, the same as the 2 middle letters of Mishkal, Shin and Kuf, 300 and 100. The first letter is a Mem, it's 40, and that is for the 4 Yuds at their regular value. The last letter, Lamed, 30, is from just Yud, a Yud at regular value, plus its value in expanded spelling, which is Yud Vav Daled, which is 10 plus 20, gives us 30. So we see the idea, the name of Hashem, which equals 72, is found in this word Mishkal, which means weight.
Mhm. So The notion of scale, mishkal, is associated with hair as follows. The word mishkal is spelled mem shin kuf lamed. The name Chavaya can be spelled out with the letter yud. In this case, the full spelling out uses 4 yuds. 4 yuds in this 72 name are alluded to by the letter shin kuf of the word mishkal. For each yud is inter-included to 100, thus giving the numerical value of shin kuf, which is 400. The 72 name is spelled out yud vav daled hey yud, vav yud, vav hey yud. As we've seen previously, the numerical value of yud is 10, alluding to 10 sifirot. Each sifirot inter-includes 10 sifirot and 100 sifirot. The combined numerical value of 4 inter-included yuds is thus 400, shin kuf, 300 plus 400. The mem of mishkal alludes to the 4 yuds themselves. The numerical value of mem is 40, which is 4 times 10. The lamed of mishkal alludes to a simple yud together with a spelled out yud, the combined numerical value of which is 30. The numerical value of lamed is 30. The numerical value of yud is 10. Numerical value of spelled out yud, yud vav daled, 10 plus 6 plus 4 is 20. 10 plus 20 is 30. Thus, this word alludes entirely to the letter yud.
Okay, thank you. Very obvious, right?
Yep.
So last time we had the word Kodesh. We said that Kodesh is 404, and that's for the 4 yuds, which total 400. And then I think we said that each yud, and then I think we said each of the 4 yuds makes another 4 is 404. Here we're going to say something else later. 12. We can use this method to connect to the first and second Batei Mikdash. The first Beis Hamikdash stood 410 years. The value of 4 yuds at 10 times its value, plus the value of 1 yud is 400 plus 10, because it's 410. The second Beis Hamikdash stood 420 years. The value of 4 yuds at 10 times its value, plus value of 1 expanded yud. 400 plus 20 is 420. These 2 numbers are also found in the word for crushed in the first pasuk of the last parsha, describing oil for the menorah. It says that it has to be kasis, crushed. The first 2 letters, Kaf and Taf, equal 420, and the last 2 letters, 410. Why this is mentioned here, what this has to do with the oil being crushed or with the Beis Hamikdash, I don't know. It seems to be parenthetical, or just to say that this is this, just like we count the 4 yuds here as 400, we do the same thing with the years that the 2 Beis Hamikdash stood.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go ahead, Tim.
Corresponding to this, the first temple stood 410 years. This number being the equivalent of 4 inter-included yuds, 400 plus the yud itself, 10. The second temple stood for 420 years, this being the equivalent of 4 inter-included yuds, 400 plus the spelled out yud, 20. The allusion to this is in the word for crushed, katit. The oil used for the menorah had to be crushed. The word for crushed is katit, spelled kaf, taf, yud, taf. This may be viewed as a compound of the first 2 half words, kaf, taf, 20 plus 400, 420, alluding to 420 years of the second temple, and yud, taf, 10 plus 400 is 410, alluding to 410 years of the first temple.
Okay, thanks. Now, the name of 72, Hashem's name of 72, corresponds to Chachma. In a recent class, it said that Kodesh, holy, corresponds to Chachma. the name of 72 also corresponds to shekel, which is, as we just said, weight or shekel. Okay, go ahead, Jim. All these levels.
All these levels alluded to by the word mishkal are in Chachma, which is termed holy as is known. Holy in Hebrew means removed, separate. And Chachma is considered separate from other Sephirot in that it is a direct revelation of the supra-conscious levels of the soul. For
Keep
this,
going.
72 name is associated with Chachma, which is holy. As we've seen previously, the 4 spellings out of the name Havaya are associated with the 4 letters of the name itself, which in turn are associated with the 4 partzufim of Abba, Ima, Zer Anpin, and Nukva.
Okay, thanks. 14. The word Kodesh has a value of 404. The Kuf and Shin, 100 and 300, equal 400 for the 4 Yuds of Havaya of 72 in expanded spelling. The 4 letters of Havaya count as 4 for the Dalid of Kodesh. So it's a little different. We're going to use the 4 letters of Havaya here for the 4. Avigail, would you like to continue? Middle of 477, the word for holy. Avigail, you're muted. Muted.
Sorry, thank you. The word for holy, Kodesh, alludes to the Kuf Shin, which allude in turn to the 4 included Yuds of the 72 name. And the Dalet of Kodesh alludes to the 4 letters of the name Havaya itself. Kodesh is spelled Kuf Dalet Shin. The first and third of these 3 letters can be seen to carry the same allusion they did above. The Dalet, whose numerical value is 4, alludes to the 4 letters of the name Havaya.
Okay, 15. This is at the level of hair. The Torah calls it's possible, I'm not clear. Before we talked about the Solid Keser. Now we're talking about Chachma. Chachma, I think, is elusive in a sense. And it might be in that, it might be similar to Keser. That's a guess. Okay, this is at the level of hair. The Torah calls the coin shekel hakodesh, the holy shekel, because it is at the level of chachma. We just showed that kodesh is the level of chachma, and shekel is also the level of chachma. Go ahead.
All this applies to the hair of the head. This is also the mystical idea behind the shekel of the sanctuary. The latter phrase literally reads the holy shekel or the shekel of holiness, referring to the shekel at the level of Chachma.
Okay, thanks. Now, so we explained the word B'nai Yisrael in the passage. We explained the words shekel hakodesh. The Torah adds the word lifkudehem, which there are different ways to translate it. I guess basically it means to their counting or to their assignments. This is because counting is associated with the level of hair. There are many sections on the head. Each one contains 410 strands. I do not understand what this means or what the connection is. Just that when it says to their counting, that counting is connected with the level of hair. That I'm not really clear on this. Okay, go ahead. Read inside.
This is also the mystical meaning of the word for according to their assignments, for all counting is related to hairs. This is why there are numerous locks of hair on the head, each one containing 410 hairs. The word for assignments, pekudim, in this verse is also a synonym for counting.
Okay, thanks. 17. The Zohar says that the mitzvah of the half shekel caused the lights of Arich Anpin, which is Keser, to emit. So the people gave the half shekel, that got the lights of Arich Anpin moving. When the Torah says each man should give an atonement for his soul, it means Arich Anpin, because Arich Anpin is the soul of Atzilus. It's the source of divine energy for Atzilus, just like our soul is the source of divine energy for our body. So when it says each man should give an atonement for his soul, it's saying for the soul of Atzilus, which is Arich Anpin, that gets the lights turned on. Okay, go ahead, Abigail.
Now the half shekel that the Israelites had to give caused the lights of Arik Anpin to issue, as noted in the Zohar. Arik Anpin is the partsuf of Keser, as we have seen previously.
Okay, thanks. The chapter ends with 2 more pages, 479. We should be able to finish in about 10 minutes. The Torah also says that by giving the half shekel, there will not be a plague among them. That, which we said at the beginning, if you count by heads, by people, then that caused problems. That happened in the time of King David. But here it means that it will prevent klipa from intercepting divine energy. And this is, again, compared to the hair that covers the back of the neck, hiding it from view. On the contrary, turning on the lights in giving the half shekel, which turns on the lights in Arich Anpin, will cause more light to shine, and that causes klipa to move even further away.
Mhm.
This is the mystical meaning of the phrase, each man will give an atonement for his soul, for Arik Anpin is the soul of the whole world of Atzilus. Arik Anpin of any world is the divine will to create that world. Thus, Arik Anpin of Atzilus is the divine will that brings Atzilus into being and sustains it.
Okay, continue.
And since when the hair grows, it covers the back, it covers the neck, so the forces of evil cannot gain a foothold there, it therefore prevents the occurrence of a plague among them. On the contrary, they produce additional light, causing the forces of evil to distance themselves more.
Okay, thanks. Now, 19. There is a path in the middle of the head, void of hair. There is hair on either side. Apparently, this refers to the part. And the reason I use the word path is because that is the Hebrew word, and it is intentional. There's something significant about the word. The path is yesod, which is referred to as a path. The hair on either side is netzach and hod. I should say, for people like me, yes, it's one hair on either side. But okay, go ahead.
Okay. And since when the hair grows, it covers, oh, I read that. Now in the middle of the head, there's a pathway empty of hair, the part. There is hair on the head on either side of this part. This pathway is a manifestation of Yesod, which is called the pathway or rock. This is why it's devoid of hair, for the hair on either side is from Netzach and Hod, while the middle pathway is from Yesod.
Thank you. In this passage, the Torah says, this they shall give.
Mhm.
The word this is the masculine form, and which is associated with Yesod, the masculine sphera.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
This pathway is, this is alluded to by the phrase, this is what they will give, for Yesod is termed this. There are two demonstrative pronouns.
Demonstrative.
I knew I had it wrong. Demonstrative pronouns in Hebrew, one masculine, zeh, and one feminine, zot. The masculine alludes to Yesod and the feminine to Malchus.
Okay, one moment. Okay. Okay, next. The Torah also says, and this is a loose translation,
Mhm.
all who pass the draft, or all who get counted. The word kol, all, also refers to Yesod. Now, every day in the davening, we read a pasuk. I think it's on page, wait. I think in the classic edition of the Siddur, it's on page 38. And we say this is at the, I think when they moved the Aron to Yerushalayim. L'cha Hashem Hagdula Vagvura Vatiferes Vanesach V'Ahod Kichol Bashamayim V'Oretz L'cha Hashem Hamam L'cha. If you don't, if this doesn't look familiar to you, you should pay attention tomorrow and find it. It says to you, and in here we find the spheres. It says to you, Hashem, our Hagdula, our greatness, Gevura, strength, Tiferes, beauty, Netzach, endurance, Ve'ahod, splendor, and then Kichol Bashamayim V'Aretz, Kol, it says for all in heaven and earth, and then L'cha Hashem Hamam L'cha, to you Hashem is kingdom, kingship. I didn't check the Siddur today, see how they translate it. So kingship is then is Malchus. So the two was that, so there are 7 over here. We have Gedula in place of Chesed. Chesed is benevolence, which means that you give and give and give. Gedula means greatness. And Kol is all. So that obviously is for Yesod. In this pasuk, I wrote something out here. In this pasuk, Gedula, greatness in place of Chesed. We then have Gvura, Tiferes, Nesach, Hod. Kol, all is for Yesod, and then comes Malchus. This is why the Torah uses the word Kol, all. This is why the Torah uses Kol, all, to allude. In the passage of the half shekel, it uses the word Kol. It's to allude to Yesod. Okay, go ahead and read.
It is also termed all. In the verse, unto you, O God, are the greatness, Hesed, and might, Gevura, and the glory, Tiferes, and the victory, Netzach, and the majesty, Hod, for all, Yesod, that is in heaven and earth. To you, O God, is the kingdom, Malchus. The word all refers to Yesod. This is because Yesod is the interface between the higher Sephiros in their expression through Malchus into the lower world, just as a foundation is the interface between a building and the earth beneath it.
Okay, thanks. Now, 22. The phrase in the Torah, all who pass the counts, before we said all who pass the draft, all who pass the counts can be understood to mean all, Yesod, passes between Netzach and Hod, who are also called Bnei Yisrael, as stated earlier. The Yesod, all who pass the counts, the part down the middle of the head is between the Hod, Netzach and Hod, another way to put it. Okay, let's read how he says it, how he describes it inside.
It passes between the tallies, which are Netzach and Hod, for the latter are the tallies of the children of Israel, i.e. of Netzach and Hod. The phrase, all who pass the tally, can be read, Yesod, alluded to by all, passes between Netzach and Hod, alluded to by the tallies of the Israelites.
And here, I guess it's playing on the word over, which is to pass, which also is an unusual term to use in this context. Kol, all, ha'over al hapkudim, who pass on the counts. What do you mean pass on the counts? It could be that they walk single file. It could be in the literal sense that the soldiers walk single file and they drop a coin in the basket. And in that sense, they're passing by the counters, by the people who are counting. But here we use this word over to say that it's Yesod is passing between Netzach and Hod. Okay, each person only gave a half a shekel. Why half a shekel? Because Yesod, which is male, only takes from one side, from Netzach, and not from Hod. Go ahead, Abigail.
This is why the sanctuary shekel weighed 20 gera. For the numerical value of the word gera plus the kolel is the same as that of the word for pathway, orach, 208. Gera is gimel resh hey, 3 plus 200 plus 5 equals 208. Orach is aleph resh het equals 1 plus 200 plus 8 equals 209.
Wait, I think I missed something. I missed 23. I'm sorry. 23. The Torah explains that the shekel equals 20 gera. A full shekel is 20 gera. This word is mentioned only 3 times in the Torah and once more in the book of Yechezkel. So it's not common. It's gematria. Why does the Torah have to tell us that the shekel is 20 gera? Its gematria is 208. With the kolel, it's the same as the word for path, orach, 209. And before we said orach refers to Yesod. So now the word gera also has a connection to Yesod. That's you read that already.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my mix-up.
Maybe I ran.
Now each person only gave half a shekel. This is because I read this, because the Yesod, which is male, only takes from one side Netzach and not from Hod. Go ahead and read that part.
Okay, they had to give half a shekel because the male Yesod takes its content from the right side, i.e. from Netzach and not from Hod. Only males were soldiers.
25, thank you. The Torah also says, the wealthy shall not give more, and the poor not less than a half shekel. The wealthy refers to Tiferes, because it's composed of yuds, I guess, because composed of yuds are the number 10. Now the poor refers to Yesod, and it doesn't say why. Maybe because it's male. Okay, just a joke. I don't know. So the poor refers to Yesod, which also has to give 10. In the simple meaning, the Torah is telling you that everybody has to give the same amount. Wealthy give 10, poor give 10. Wealthy can't give more than 10. Poor can't give less than 10. And it does not explain the connection between Yesod and 10. The Torah says that 1 shekel is 20 gera, and everyone must give a half shekel, which equals 10 gera. That's the wealthy Tiferes, and Yesod the poor. Go ahead.
This is the meaning of the phrase, the wealthy will not give more and the poor will not give less than half of this shekel. The wealthy refers to Tiferes. It has no more than 10, for it is composed of yuds. The poor refers to Yesod. It must also give no less than 10, so it must give 10 gera, which is half a shekel. This is all I found written.
Mhm.
So it's kind of,
This is because yeah. Okay, could be that there's something missing and it explained. I'm just kidding. I don't know. So that's this. Now, if you go back and look at the passage on page 473, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, when you count, when you lift the heads, we learned what that means. The children of Israel, we learned what that is. That lift the heads is getting Netzach and Hod back up to Keser to be scented. The children of Israel refers to Netzach and Hod that are children of Tiferes. According to their assignments, Lifkudehem, that each man will give an atonement for his soul. That atonement for a soul means that that they get the soul of the Atzilus, which is Arachampin. You get things moving. There shall not be a plague among them, means that the Klipa shouldn't intercept any divine energy. All who pass by the tally, we said to pass is like all refers to Yesod, the word kol, and who pass by the tally, pass means the Yesod, and the part in the hair that's between Hod, Netzach and Hod. A half shekel, a sanctuary shekel. Oh, the sanctuary shekel or the holy shekel. We said each one is connected to the 72 name. Remember by the letters, by the gematrias. They're the shekel and the word mishkal, weight, and the word kodesh are connected to the 72 name. And I think we said it's connected to Yesod, and it's 20 gera. Gera being the same gematria as orach. the path.
Mhm.
All those who
Huh.
pass by the tail from the age of 20 will give, the wealthy will not give more, the poor will not give less than half. We just did that here. So very quickly looking over, we see all the different things that are connected to this idea. So before we go, I'll give you a freebie. It says here, we have this line that was saying in davening, Hagdula, Agvur, Vatversas, Avahod. That is, those are the 7 lower of the midos, of the powers of the soul. I think if you include Keser, Chachma, and Bina, it gives 10. You take the initials, Keser, Chachma, Bina, is Kaf, Chaf, Beis. And instead of Chesed, you use Gedula. So then Gedula, and then Gevura, Tiferes, Nesach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchus. You take the initials. I think it equals the same as Yisrael.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll figure it out after we hang up. But in that case, we have the 10. Yet Yisrael is the same gematria as the 10 spheres, as the initials of the 10 spheres, providing that you replace Chesed with Gedula.
Gedula.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next week is Lag BaOmer. So we're having a barbecue at Yeshiva. We probably could do the class at like the same time or after Ma'ariv. Okay? Unless we'll try to do it. I don't want to skip.
Okay.
Okay, because usually we have the barbecue. Barbecue will start around 4:35. It'll go to about 7:30.
Okay.
Okay, okay, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, good week. Have a schnitzelige week.
So
We're still streaming, I